This is Fieldsports Channel News. Some say it's a law that will allow the rich to continue to shoot grouse, while the poor can no longer take one for the pot. Basque describes the new Wildlife and Muirburn Scotland Act as ruinous. Grouse go on the general licences, and grouse moors will have to be licensed by Nature Scot in time for the 12th of August 2024. And there will be stringent regulations of Muirburn starting in the 2025 burning season. Widespread criticism from Basque, the Countryside Alliance and Scottish Land and Estates about the Scottish Government's handling of the new bill matched praise for the bill from antis keen to end shooting sports.
It's not what the sector wanted, but we are here in the situation that we are in, and we have done our utmost throughout to try and make the legislation proportionate and workable, and we'll be working with Nature Scot to make sure that the end result looks just like that.
Nature Scot's administration of the new law is key to the new grouse moor licensing process working. Rural groups hope the government agency will do it fairly. Countryside Alliance Chief Executive Tim Bonner says the amendments pushed through after a long consultation process means driven grouse shooting could still thrive.
We do seem to have got to a point where the amendments that have been secured by the rural organisations working together, and SLE in particular, mean that this licensing scheme should work. We should be able to shoot grouse in Scotland for the foreseeable future, and there shouldn't be too many difficulties for those landowners and those estates who are applying for licences.
After striking a blow against grouse shooters, the Scottish Government is now keen to rid the country of its deer. It's published a consultation about future deer management, so controversial that the Scottish Gamekeepers Association told reporters it's refusing to take part. Neil Rowntree says the consultation is deeply flawed, but it is important that anyone with an interest in deer fills it out. Link below.
It's unworkable and it's impractical. Some ambiguous statements around animal welfare and enclosed and captive deer, and it's poorly thought out, and I would urge everybody that has time, go through it, have a good look, respond to this consultation, and don't just let this one end up in the statute books without being adequately challenged.
Meanwhile, southern African countries have criticised the Westminster government. It's after Parliament passed the second reading of a bill to ban imports relating to trophy hunting. The headlines both at home and abroad centred on Britain interfering with African politics when Rishi Sunak's government announced it would back the ban. There's even a threat from Botswana to send elephants to Hyde Park to show British people how much damage they can do to crops and land. Representatives of 5 African nations were in London last week to try and stop the legislation, which was introduced by MP John Speller as a private member's bill. Speller refused to meet them. The bill still has several parliamentary stages to go before it becomes law. A rare Maral Ram shot by an American hunter shows the importance of shooting and conservation. Brian Douglas Williams paid $181,000 to the Pakistan government for a chance to stalk the animal, known as a screw-horned goat or snake eater, because of the extraordinary shape of its horns. The goat is Pakistan's national animal and can only be hunted with a hugely expensive special permit. Money earned by issuing the permits is ploughed back into conservation projects. 4 hunts in the past 4 months has raised $715,000. Most photo tourists are not interested in visiting Pakistan for its wildlife. Basque says new rules governing the release of game birds is an improvement. A ruling from DEFRA means shoots releasing pheasants, partridges, ducks and other game near some protected areas no longer need a specific licence. After chaos in 2023 where DEFRA failed to consult with shoots before suddenly introducing a ban on bird release within 500 metres of European designated special protection areas, this year the government department has produced the new GL45 general licence instead. The GL45 covers a large number of SPAs. Most shoots are allowed to release game birds near them without the need for individual applications. There's a link to the list of SPAs covered by the new rules below. The countryside came to the capital this week with more than 100 tractors driving through Westminster. The rally was organised by Fairness for Farmers and Save British Farming. They came together to protest about cheap food imports and what they describe as dishonest labelling in supermarkets.
It's just brilliant that as farmers have come together, we're united and we are up for the fight.
The link to the full Farming Britain film is in the link below. American duck hunters have reached out to Australia to help support fellow wildfowlers. Hunting ducks is banned in Western Australia but survives in the state of Victoria. There are fears, though, that new legislation will arrive next year, forcing many hunters out of the sport. Joel Bryce from America's Delta Waterfowlers believes recruitment of new duck hunters is one of the keys to the survival of the sport. Thanks to Glenn Faller for the story.
Recruiting new duck hunters has never been more critical. However, I know this is a challenging assignment in Australia's current climate. I empathize with the constant unfair attacks and political pressures you are under. The assaults on reason are at times designed, it seems, to lure you into lashing out. My advice is this: don't ever apologize for being a duck hunter, but be respectful when encountering anti-hunters, even if they themselves are disrespectful. Remember, cameras are everywhere, and video editors can portray your actions completely out of context. Don't give them a win. Hunt safely, follow all laws, and showcase the joys of duck hunting. Promote its conservation message, and remain a strong, passionate, unified voice for the future of ducks and duck hunting in Australia.
And finally, the set of silver buttons we featured from the tunic of famous hunter John Peel went under the hammer for £7,000. The buttons contained images of Peel's famous Blencathra hounds and are engraved with their names. They sold for £2,000 more than the predicted price by Chorley's auctioneers in Gloucestershire. You are up to date with Fieldsports Channel News. Stalking the stories, fishing for facts.